Hello everyone and welcome back to our English First Additional Language lessons, and we are still on revision series for grade 12 English First Additional Language for grade 12 in preparation for paper 2 final examination. And then today we are going to look into a poem Hard to Find by Sinesipho Jojo. Right, like we have done with the rest of the poems, we need to interact with the title. The title says hard to find. So something that is hard to find, something that is difficult to locate, in other words. So we need to find out in the context of the poem what is that is difficult to locate for the poet, and the reasons therefore that makes that particular thing to be difficult to be located. Right, and knowledge about the author or the poet, not the author, the poet. In her final year of studying psychology, Sinesipho joined a creative writing workshop arranged by the Arts and Culture Directorate of the Nelson Mandela University in PE. The workshop focused on writing process and practical methods of applying. So this poem was born during those workshops. So the poet was actually busy attending workshops on the writing processes, and it is during that time that she wrote the poem Hard to Find. Now, the title, summarizing the central theme of the poem, which is the idea that finding the right words to express one's feelings can be difficult and elusive and in an elusive process. The title suggests that these words are hard to locate or access, as if they are hiding or avoiding the speaker. The title also creates a sense of mystery or of longing, as if the speaker is searching for something that is important but how elusive. So in the title it says hard to find, but however it does not specify what is that is hard to find. But then in the context of the poem we're going to read about the difficulty of locating words by the speaker, and then we must also bear in mind that we must find the emotion as well as the atmosphere and the mood that which the poet is subjected to, well, whilst finding it difficult to locate words. And then with the what I have stressed in the previous poems was the choice of words by the author, that which helps to create what you call diction, and then diction ultimately creates the mood in the poem. Now, once you say something is hard to find, I'm expecting to read about difficulty. And once one is experiencing or going through any form of difficulty, I don't expect a jubilant mood, a happy mood. I expect a somber mood, a mood of despair, because you are really struggling to locate something. So, in the context of these words, in the context of the poem, what is that the poet is finding to locate is actually words. So we are going to find out what kind of circumstances did the poet find himself or find herself in, that which led her to be in such a state where words are indeed difficult to do what? Difficult to locate. The first line of the poem, it says words are everywhere, which can be a hyperbole because it exaggerates the availability of words, that indeed words are everywhere. And then a single distinct meaningful element of speech or writing used with others. So the word, it means sometimes to form a sentence and typically shown with a space of either side when written or printed. And this is just a definition of words. And then words are common. So the line implies that words are common, they are everywhere. Hence, I've said it's also a hyperbole. We have come across a hyperbole in the previous poem. So it's an extended exaggeration, but the effectiveness, therefore, is to emphasize how available or the availability of words. And then in the second line, it says daily. This line establishes that words are a global presence in our daily lives. It means that we are living in the presence of words on a daily basis because we use them to communicate. We read them and they fly out. Then we need to understand this is a simile. They fly out like nobody's business when we are provoked. Remember, a comparison that uses the word like, and I did emphasize that whenever we come across comparisons, you need to establish what are those two things that are being compared, and then the similarity between the two becomes your effectiveness. Because bear in mind, girls, that tomorrow examiners will ask you to identify the part of speech and not to define them, but however to explain their effectiveness. So it is safer to understand whether the part of the figure of speech there, not part of speech, pardon me, the figure of speech there is there to show comparison, is there to show sound, or is there to show contradiction, in such a way that when you now explain the effectiveness, you know how to fully and successfully do such. So we read them and they fly out like nobody's business. So by virtue of using the word like here, tends the statement to be a comparison, of course, but it becomes a simile. When we read words, we often easily and quickly understand and process them. The simile is used to describe how quickly words fly out as if they are a bird. It also can also be a metaphor, because here in the first line, words are compared to a bird that can do what, that can fly out, to show that how words can easily escape when one needs them. Remember, the central idea of the poem is that words are indeed hard to find. And then the second line now turns it into a simile by using the word like to say like nobody's business when one is how provoked. And then bear in mind that the author, the poet here, provides a reason as to why words are difficult for her to find. Words are what is it that makes words to be difficult for her to find is that when she is provoked. So this is a condition that which a poet finds herself in, that which makes the words to be difficult to do what, to find or to locate. The simile is used to describe how quickly words fly out when we are provoked. The comparison being made is between the speed and abundance of words that are spoken when someone is provoked to the idea of how quickly and easily they are spoken. Okay, words are there every day. They are in abundance from the first statement. We read them and they fly out when we are provoked like nobody's business. And they fly out and like nobody's business when one is provoked. This process is somehow mindless or automatic. We do not think before we speak. Normally, when one is provoked, we often, I think it happens to the best of us. We often end up saying some things that we would ultimately regret at a later stage, because indeed that is where now we are provoked and then words do what, fly out. So you check the imagery that is being portrayed in this poem. I did speak about images. Imagery is very much important. The symbolic representation of emotions or circumstances. For example, using something like a bird that flies out to demonstrate how easily words flow out of one's mouth when one is provoked. Or alternatively, it can also imply that words fly out in such a way that one cannot grasp them when they are needed, especially when you are provoked. Because remember what the poem says is that words are hard to find. There may be certain situation or stimuli that causes us to speak without thinking, thus they do what? They fly out. But there's always something hard to understand, and then we've got ellipses. Remember, I did also mention that punctuation also play a major role in poetry. When you see semicolons, sometimes after a semicolon, or it's just an explanation that comes further, or a hyphen. So also punctuation plays a major role. There are ellipses, it means that, but there's always something hard to understand. So I'm expecting the line that comes after the statement should actually elaborate further on what is that is something hard to do what, to understand. This line introduces the idea that there are some things that are difficult to understand or express with words, and then we need to find out what is that the poet implies, or what is that the poet refers to. They are hard to find. This is personification. The words have a will of their own and can choose when to be present and when to be absent, portrayed as elusive or difficult to grasp, almost as if they have consciousness and intention of their own. The use of personification suggests a sense of frustration or longing on the part of the speaker, who needs the right words to express their feelings but finds them elusive when they are most what needed. They are hard to find. For an example, like a person who can just hide away or not communicate, that person we can say is hard to find. And remember, with personification, what I have said, you must understand what kind of human qualities are added on that subject to personify that subject. So I would say words are given a human quality with the ability to escape in such a way that they are not being reached. So therefore they are how they are hard to find. So I think you pick up what is that I'm trying to show you. I'm already hitting two birds with one stone. Not only are we analyzing, but I'm also re-emphasizing how the figure of speech are going to be examined and how you should explain them or substantiate, if not explain their effectiveness when they are needed by the heart. So we needed to find out what is that the poet actually refers to whenever he says that words are hard to find. Now we find the main reasons that which makes words to be hard to find. He says when they are mostly needed by the heart. Now this brings an element of sentimental feeling, an element of emotional feeling or an emotional tone, because the words that are most needed or desired are often the hardest to do what to find or access, especially maybe when one is in pain or one is troubled. If you resort to keep quiet, then you find it very difficult to locate the right words to express exactly what is that you are going through. When the heart feels, the line further develops the idea that the words we need most are often hard to find, as if they are hiding or avoiding what? Avoiding us. Words hurt like they are not part of life. Again, here words are being given a human quality with the ability to do what? To hide, right? Meaning that with the ability to escape one when one needs them. So therefore you find yourself in such circumstances or situations where you cannot even express yourself simply because words are not reachable at that moment. The phrase like they are not part of life could be interpreted as suggesting that these words are somehow outside of the normal flow or experience of our daily life. While words are busy playing some twisted game, I think what I am establishing now is that this poem has what you call an extended personification, because most of the lines echo personification. Because when you say words, while words are busy playing, human beings can play, words cannot play. Again, this is personification. Words have been given a human quality with the ability to play game, but what kind of a game? They are playing twisted games. So remember, there are figures of speech that which are contradictory. Something that is twisted, it can be something that is bended or something that is not right. And then games, normally when we play games, when kids play games, even adults, that's when we enjoy, relax, and have fun. But when you couple game with twisted, it makes it to be an oxymoron, because twisted has got a negative connotation and then game has got a positive connotation. That means that it's not a pleasant game, it's not a happy game. A twisted game, it can be a game that leads one to misery, because it's not a game that brings forth what joy. So this further implies or shows that words indeed are hard to find, and words indeed do escape when the speaker needs them the most, and she even feels like it's more or less like playing a twisted game. And the effectiveness of this contradictory words, which is called oxymoron in English, is to further establish the fact that words are playing an unpleasant game, simply because words at that moment cannot be reached. And then can also imply to show a metaphor. Words are not always reliable or helpful, and it can also be a personification. The use of words twisted to describe the game suggests a negative connotation. This is exactly what I've just said, implying that the words are not being used in an honest or straightforward way. The words game here refers to the idea that words can be used in various ways, such as players can make a different moves in games. So indeed, this line cements the fact that words are hard to find. My heart looks sadly through the glass window. Your heart cannot look, it does not have eyes. Again, this is personification. Now, the writer here brings forth an element of a somber mood, a sad mood, where he says, my heart looks sadly. The word sadly, again, It's a negative connotation that further paints a mood of despair through a glass window. The heart is not finding the correct words to state and what is that it's looking for. As the raindrops slowly slide down gently, personification, the raindrops that slowly slide down gently are personified as they are given the human characteristic of sliding down in a slow and gentle way. This personification adds to the melancholic mood, which is that with a somber mood, or in a simple English would say sad mood of the poem, as the raindrop seems to reflect the speaker's sadness and the slow pace of what passing time. On a cloudy lifetime, it is a metaphor that compares lifetime to a cloudy day, clearly like a cloudy day. So if we have a cloudy day, normally it seems a very gloomy, sad, as compared to a sunny day. So if you compare your lifetime to a cloudy day, that simply shows the impact of sad, or the intensity of sadness that is within your life. It is a metaphor that compares a lifetime to a cloudy day. The speaker's life is dark, dreary, and difficult to see through clearly like a cloudy day. So you see, how did we arrive to these conclusions where we have the correct adjectives to describe the mood of the speaker? We simply checked the choice of words that the speaker or the poet used, like just such as cloudy, such as the heart looking out sadly through the window. So such choice of words help us to determine the mood of the poem, because we check the words that are used instead of saying happy, smiling, dancing. No. Here we are dealing with the gloominess, because we are talking about the sadness. We are even talking about a cloudy day, that which signifies darkness and that which signifies difficulty. So indeed, this is a very sad poem that reflects the difficulty for the poet to locate words. Hoping that one day, once you bring the element of hope, there's a contrast. I've always mentioned that you must be in a position in grade 12 to understand where contrast is now introduced, where now the poet shifts from one mood to the other. Please be be mindful of such shifts where we transitioning from one mood to the next. Now, we just from sadness, from gloominess, now the poet introduces an element of hope. That hoping one day, the speaker hopes that someday the words needed to express their heart desires will be found. Because remember, throughout the poem thus far, we have established that indeed words are hard to find. But however, now in this line, the speaker brings an element of hope that one day words will be available to be found and be used to express the speaker's emotions. Here are some possible themes that are present in the poem Hard to Find by Sinesipho Jojo. The first one, difficulty in expressing one's feelings. The poem suggests that it can be difficult to find the right words to express one's feelings, particularly when the heart is feeling something strongly. And then the relationship between words and emotions. The poem explores the idea that words and emotions are interconnected with the speaker's heart feelings, a sense of longing or sadness as it searches for the right words. Now, this is what I want to teach you and I want to emphasize. When you come across discussion of themes, if they are perfectly stated like they are stated here, please, when you write your responses, ensure that you couple that with evidence from the poem. For an example, let us just take this one. We can reference a particular line from the poem to further substantiate that. So whenever you explain a particular theme in the poem, explain it, yes, but ensure that there's always evidence. There's also a provision of evidence in your response. For example, you can say the poem suggests that it can be difficult to find the words to express one's feelings, particularly when the heart is feeling something strongly. As the poet used a metaphor in line 3 to state that words play a twisted game. You get me? Or as the poet has used personification in line 4 to indicate or to emphasize that words play a twisted game, meaning that it emphasizes that words are difficult to hide. Difficult to find. So every time when you discuss themes in poems, don't just discuss them in isolation without borrowing evidence from the poem itself. You can make key reference to particular lines and further explain them in your own understanding without deviating from the main ideas. The idea of communication and understanding. The poem touches on the theme of communication and understanding as the speaker hopes that their heart's message will be understood through the use of words, and the concept of time and change. The image of the raindrops sliding gently down the window could be interpreted as a metaphor for the passage of time, or the speaker's emotional state. The theme of uncertainty. The phrase cloudy lifetime suggests that the speaker's life is uncertain or difficult, adding to the overall sense of longing or sadness present in the poem. But the most dominant theme in this poem is the difficulty in expressing one's feelings and the difficulty in locating words, because indeed the title says hard to do what? Hard to find. Here are some possible symbols that are present. I've always spoken about the imagery, symbolical representation, when all certain pictures or objects or animals are used in a poem to signify or to symbolize something. We've got a glass window. The image of the heart looking through the glass window could symbolize the heart desire for clarity or understanding. Because when you are looking outside, it's more like you are searching for an answer. And then raindrops, the raindrops sliding gently down the window could symbolize the passage of time of the speaker's emotional state. And then raindrops can also be associated with teardrops. Cloudy lifetime, the phrase cloudy lifetime could symbolize uncertainty or difficulty in the speaker's life. I've already re-emphasized that you check the word cloudy and then lifetime, the two concepts are compared. Then of course cloudiness resembles darkness. So if you say cloudy lifetime, you couple that together, it means what kind of life is that? It's a dark or gloomy life. So it means at that period you're going through difficulties or you're facing challenges. So you label that time or phrase or phase in your life as a cloudy lifetime. And then words. The poem suggests that words have a special relationship with the heart and with emotion, and could be seen as a symbol for the way we communicate and express ourselves. I hope you understood the poem. This is just one of those short and easy poems in our prescribed poems literature for grade 12 2023. Once more, good luck for your final examination.